it gives me great honor. It is a privilege to also have tonight a force of nature when it comes to the conservation world, a tiger conservation hero who has devoted his life to the understanding and protection of the endangered tigers of Asia. K. Ullas Karanth, whose book I am reading and thoroughly enjoying. Mr. Karanth, thank you so much. A big day for everyone like you who've really spent their life to protect the tigers of Asia. Your reaction today when you heard the numbers, are they in line with what you were expecting? Are they in line with what you were hoping for?
I was not hoping for them, but I was expecting something like this because I have, tiger conservation is a very complex business, and these once in 4 year census are just one part of it. And I have a lot of reservations about this whole approach and methodology, so I don't think it works. So my hopes don't go up when the numbers go up, or nor do they come down when the hopes come down when the numbers come down. For example, in 2002, they reported 3,642 tigers. Then in 2006, it was brought down to 1,411. And, it kept at different values, and today they claim it's 3,167 minimum. So I really am not so worried or happy or either way about these numbers.
All right, but you've called your book Fighting to Bring Back Asia's Big Cats. In your experience, have you spent more time than anyone else in the forests? Are we still fighting?
Tiger conservation is a complex business. There's the element of protection, there's the element of making room, there's the element of good governance and monitoring the results finally using good science.
Yes.
And planning the whole thing using good science. So I'm interested in all these things. And right from the beginning, unfortunately, we have not used the right kind of science to see what's working and what's not working.
Okay.
And up to 2004, I would say, there was a mission. The Project Tiger began in 74. There was a deep sense of mission, and that first two generations of foresters put their lives on the line, whether it was guards, rangers, or even the leadership level. The field directors were incredible people.
Yes.
The real bounce took place in the first 30 years. After 2004, but we didn't use good methods. We used a method called Pugmark census. Then in 2004, there was the Tiger Task Force, and in my opinion, they did a pretty bad job of the reforms they were asked to.
Okay.
And the consequence is a massive growth in bureaucracy and funding, and the bad science has continued, but under a different label. So I am happy about the first 30 years. I'm not happy about the last 16 years or so from 2004 under the expanded authority and money and all that.
The last 16 years, basically what you're saying is we could have done more. What does one need to do?
I think the primary thing we needed to do is to understand how many can we have. Answer that question clearly. We have 380,000 square kilometers of forest where tigers can exist. In spite of all the history, we still have 3 lakh. And even if you assume an average density of 5 tigers per 100 square kilometers, which is not difficult to achieve in these forests with reasonable protection, we have actually achieved 10 or more in many of the best reserves. But if we do that, we can still have 10,000 tigers. But we never had that aspirational goal. It was all about, particularly after 2004, it became all about spending money, expanding area, and doing things which were not needed. That mission drift has worried me. See, initially, the protection was confined to a few reserves. Even now, the strictest protection probably is only in about 40,000 square kilometers. The vast expanse of 380,000 versus this 40 or 50 still remains poorly protected. And if you look at the most extensive forests in India, go to any forest map, they are in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Orissa, and the northeastern hill states. And those are virtually bereft of tigers for the most part, because there the conditions haven't changed from 1970. So we should be investing there and bringing back tigers on a larger scale than pumping more and more money into the same set of reserves or a small set of reserves, and some of them very poorly chosen, and not deploying our resources wisely to really do what is achievable. That's the thing that bothers me.
Fascinating. And today, we heard the Prime Minister say that India, I'm just going to try and find that quote. He said that it is in India's tradition and culture as well as the biodiversity of our country, and those are among the major reasons for this achievement. Your thoughts?
I think the Prime Minister has a valid point. If you look at any other country, typically big cats are seen as enemies. They are not revered in any sense of the word, whether it's jaguars in Brazil or mountain lions in US, or even tigers in Buddhist countries like Laos and Cambodia are killed and eaten.
Yes.
So I think that tradition that he talks about gives us a solid foundation for building conservation, which is what happened in 74, 72, when Mrs. Gandhi brought the strong laws. One of the things that the people took in their stride was these laws were strong, in some senses affected their interests, but still the sense of tolerance that the tigers and elephants need a place too certainly played a role in establishing the original wildlife reserves of the 70s. But we have to move beyond that, and now that's not enough. We need modern science, we need greater parks, we need better ways of managing these habitats, because just on tradition we can't survive. Because in many places the tradition is to eat tigers, and that's still true of a lot of northeastern India. So tradition can cut both ways, but we have to use it where we can.
So what were the conditions at the time when you're saying that we made these great strides in protecting the tiger and increasing their numbers, and what's changed in the last 2 decades?
At that point in time, our GDP growth was 2 or 3%. We had tremendous poverty. There were starvation deaths in India. And the lack of development meant people didn't have protein. People hunted widely for protein. And people, the traction power of agriculture and transportation was livestock, which were ravaging the forest. But post reforms, some of those things have changed. That protein deficiency is, hunting for protein is still prevalent in Northeast, but that big pressure has gone. There's an urbanizing constituency of people who have interest in tigers. So hunters are not treated like heroes. They are viewed as villains. And the economic reforms of the 90s have put money into people's pockets. They can buy farmed meat. Large-scale switch to mechanized transportation has taken place. So some of them, and we have tons of money now compared to those days. Nagarhole Park was run on less than 50 lakh rupees. Now it probably gets 50 crores. So all this has to be leveraged to really expand our land base for tigers, have more tigers. That's really what I'm saying. We have to rely on the incentives of the people, the private sector initiatives, scientific research. We have, in other fields, we have done that, but in conservation, we are going back to more and more bureaucracy and more and more monopolistic government control. This is what bothers me.